my name is Stephanie. Welcome to Teen Esteem Ed Talks. I'm a mental health activist and advocate. I speak, I write, and I'm on the board of directors for the San Francisco chapter of the National Alliance on Mental Illness. And what has inspired my advocacy efforts has been my daughter, who has struggled with a mental health condition for years, and I've helped her navigate through her pathology and really struggled with her to find treatment. So today I want to talk to you about something that has affected millions of people with mental illness, and that's stigma, and it affects them every day. As anyone with a mental health condition can attest, it's one of the biggest barriers to obtaining a diagnosis and getting connected to the right treatment. Well, at its core, it's a matter of perception. It's a very powerful and influential force and has prevented a lot of people from reaching out for help. So what is stigma? Well, according to Merriam-Webster, stigma is a set of negative and often unfair beliefs that a society or group of people have about something. And that certainly applies to people with a mental health condition and how they're perceived by society. The fact of the matter is, though, mental illness is extremely common, not just in adult populations, which we hear about from time to time on the news, but within children, which we don't hear about as much. About half of all mental illnesses begin by the age of 14. So when they're struggling with adolescence in their teen years, that's when these symptoms are manifesting. And 3/4, 75% of mental illnesses manifest by the age of 24. So basically, while children are growing, developing through their teen years and into very early adulthood, that's when these symptoms are showing. So how do people with stigma, how are they affected? Well, a lot of ways, and none of them good. They're very, very negative. For teens or high school students, they might be bullied at school, especially if they exhibit behaviors that are strange, that are different, or isolate themselves. They might be called weak, especially if they talk about their illness or talk about sadness or depression. Emotions that might be considered weak emotions. They might feel shame. They might feel that they have to hide their condition and not talk about it. And also, they might experience shaming from the outside community, maybe not intentionally, but by people who think that somehow their illness is their fault. And of course, they might experience avoidance. And there again, this might not be intentional, but what do we do when we fear something or we don't understand something? Often we avoid it. And so people who are experiencing a mental health condition are very sensitive to this, and they feel that, and it's painful. So what can you do to overcome stigma? It seems like such a powerful force. What can we do at the grassroots level? Well, there's a lot, actually. When you're comfortable, share your experiences. In fact, our stories are the most powerful things we can share about mental illness, about our experiences, about our children's experiences. I know that in the past, when I've been in a social situation, whether that was a picnic or a dinner party or any kind of gathering, and I'm a talker, and I start talking about my experience with my daughter and what we went through, it was as if I gave everybody permission to start talking about it too. It was like pop, pop, pop. Everyone had a story about their mom or their brother or their friend or their aunt or uncle or themselves. And there was this connectedness in that. That was so powerful. We need to do more of that, because I realized everyone had been sitting on these stories probably for years and didn't feel like they could come forward until one person did. Another thing we can do is just educate. You, as a parent of a child who might be struggling with a mental health condition, you are a mini expert. Find teachable moments. When you hear people talking about mental illness, something they hear on the news or something they read online, insert your authority, insert your expertise. We want to hear that. We want to be more educated, and we desperately need to be more educated about mental health conditions. And also correct misinformation. When you see stigma manifesting, when you see people being discriminated against or blatant misinformation being spread, stand up. It's hard, I know. It's easier to sit down and ignore it. But only when we stand up together can we really hope to overcome stigma that is such a destructive force. Also, for any parent who's with a child who's struggling with mental health conditions, reach out to, there's many organizations. One of the biggest ones, one of the most influential ones, is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. It's a national organization. They have hundreds of chapters all over the country. Chances are there's a chapter in your county, and they offer a wealth of services, trainings, support groups, services, educational materials, and they can also direct you to the right resources. So just feel free to reach out. That's what they're there for. At the end of the day, stigma is born out of ignorance and fear, and the only way to overcome this is by sharing our stories and actually seeing how common it is and how connected we all are, because that's something we all share, and there truly is strength in numbers. Thank you.